Well, good morning, everyone. I'm going to start this thing over and do it all over again. Get my notes up. There we go. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 9th day of, what are we? April 2020. Well, we have a sense of completion today, even though I had to start this over. I got about 14 minutes in and realized I wasn't getting to the reading. So it's like, oh no, here we go. I think the moon was in Gemini right now, but it's not. It's in the 6th house of Scorpio. 6th house is going to be routine and getting organized and things like that, but Scorpio is going to be emotional. So maybe you're feeling a little emotional today. I know I am. We want to look deeply today for meaning as opposed to, letting all those emotions out, and maybe losing some control. Scorpio is really intense, and so it can think things are there when they're not, or they can sense things that are. They're very intuitive. Scorpios are very intuitive that way, very empathic. But avoid conflict. Avoid taking the bait, of rising to the occasion, unless it's to do something meaningful or positive. There's a sesca square between the moon and Mercury. We want to definitely think before speaking. Everything else is pretty much the same. We're focusing on things that are realistic and not things that can't happen. When you do that, you get into the routine of before the virus, and you want to just naturally go and do things and behave in ways that are just regular and normal, So during this time, you're going to find out, you think you're going along okay and you're doing all right. You're in the groove. You're in the stay at home, safe at home groove, right? Then all of a sudden, something happens and maybe it's when the moon is in Scorpio and things get intense. Just don't, okay? Understand that this is part of the cycle, and you're going to have moments where you're going to struggle through this. And this may be one of those days. Tomorrow may be as well. The moon usually stays in a sign for 2 days. And I'm not sure when it moved. It was in Libra yesterday, but it's in Scorpio now. So just be aware that for today and tomorrow, things could be emotionally a little, in flux. Let's see. Let's go. Just move on. Let's see. Venus. We'll just move on to Venus. Because everything's the Sun and Mercury in the same place. 12th house Aries for the Sun, 11th house Pisces for Mercury. But the 12th house of Gemini, there's also a sextile between Venus and Chiron. So you're going to want to use that Gemini energy to be aware and check in. Geminis are pretty chatty, and so and they want to connect with people. And so I think that you're going to want to do that today because a woman close to you may feel vulnerable. A support may be needed, so maybe an older woman in your life. I know I was feeling really upset this morning while I was getting ready to do this. I hadn't yet looked at the astrology for the day, so I'm still thinking it's in Libra, thinking, okay, my balance is off. What's going on? And of course, I checked in because I'm an empath and to see, well, okay, is it me or is it, did my thoughts take me there? Or am I picking up on someone else's stuff? Because I do. And no, I wasn't someone else's stuff. It was me. So just be aware of how you're feeling today. If you're starting to feel like you're going to get upset or angry or whatever, or get into an argument with somebody in the house, just don't. Don't do it online either. We're all feeling vulnerable, whether it's a woman or not in your life. We're all feeling vulnerable right now. And a little extra care is what's needed. And if you can provide that for somebody, then do that. And if you can't, then just, step away. Don't feed into anything else that's going on with them because it could just upset them even more. So just understand that right now with the moon in Scorpio, everyone's emotions are in flux. And so we just need to take a breath or two, maybe. And, Jupiter conjunct Pluto still in effect. We have the resolve to accomplish anything. We just need to do something that's use the power for good instead of, for ego-based things. Leave that to the president of the country. He's doing such a good job there, isn't he? Yeah, making it all about him. And not at all of it. Could he finally just come out and acknowledge? Could he lower the flag to half mast? Could he do that for all the people that have died? We've lost a lot of people. A lot. One's too many. Could he say something? Yeah, see, here I am, Moon in Scorpio, getting upset. So anyway, we're still thinking outside the box with Saturn in the 9th house in Aquarius. Aquarius is like that. You know, you welcome Aquarius at times because it's like, okay, innovation. Maybe we'll come up with a solution here. Let's see. I'm looking at my notes here. Anything else that's new? Not really. But right now, Chiron's in the 11th house of Aries, and so the space could open, online to be a healing force today. The thing is Scorpio can also be very compassionate and understanding. So use that today to help someone else who's struggling, because trust me, it's not like we're in short supply. So we're all struggling. So just a kind word. That's all that's needed. Little word of support, like I'm thinking of you. Hang in there. Are you okay? Things like that. How you doing? And just love them. That's all you can do right now, from a distance. Well, anyway, that's all I'm going to do with the astrology. There's just not really anything that's changed from yesterday. So, go with the flow, reassess frequently. That's the Sun semi-square Venus. Focused on the positive and what can actually happen. Again, don't focus on the old normal, focus on the new normal. And just be gentle on yourselves. And just, this is a difficult time. People worry, am I going to be safe? Am I going to stay well? What's going to happen? Am I going to be alone through it? Because that's the other side. You can't really have anybody take care of you when you're sick. You have to do this alone. Unless you can figure out a way, to do that without infecting the other person. But odds are you're gonna. And so it's just it's weird. It's just weird right now. And for the whole world to have to, and that's what should have happened. The whole world should have just stopped for a month. Government pay everybody's salaries. Make sure nobody gets hurt in it financially. But no, we got to sit and argue about that too. This should have been a no-brainer. But you have someone without a brain in the Oval Office, so that's what you get, I guess. I don't know. Let's go ahead, though, and take a look at the first 3 cards. If I have to take any more, I will. If this is your first time, welcome. Here, I'm going to take 3 cards, and then I'm going to do the 13th one each time for randomness sake. I don't normally do that, but I will for here. And then we're going to take a look at a rune from the Elder Futhark, and then we're going to close out with a geomancy rune, assuming my voice stays intact. So anyway, let's get started and take our first 3 cards. Well, we have the Page of Swords, so new message. Swords reflects the air element. So our intellect, reason, justice, fairness, balance, decisions. It's kind of an either or, although it shouldn't be, should it? Nothing is ever either or. It just sometimes feels that way because we only see 2 options, but maybe there's a whole lot more. Here we have the 8 of Wands, swift movement. So we've got the fire element with wands. So we're looking at will, creativity, the genesis of life, basically the spark of life within the seed kind of thing. So genesis in a real way, because you're talking about the manifestation of will with the fire element. And here you're talking about it from a group consciousness level with the 8. So we're moving in unison with one another, maybe. I have this sense of a coming back to the fold about this, and it's just hitting me. And not because it's necessarily part of the reading. It's coming back to the fold, like you realize that with the new message, and this may be part of it here, you have the new message from the page, and maybe what you thought has now been clarified, and you know that it's not true anymore. And so it's like, okay, all right, I see what's going on now. That's the energy of this. And we're coming back together, and we're getting on the same page, and we're going to deal with this stuff together. And it started out, was predicated upon some message that the page set gave us. Here we're going to level the playing field. Balancing things. This is a 7 of Swords. So we have a 6 energy then for today for on the cards. Because 6 and 8, or no, I'm sorry, 7 and 8 is 15. So yeah, 6 energy. I was thinking it's 14. No, that's 6 and 8, or yes, no, whatever. Anyway, yeah, 6 and 8 is 14. But this is 15, so that reduces to 6. And so we're talking about higher self-influence there, a shared purpose. So again, I guess maybe I was right in that when we're all coming back together, where it's like, okay, I see what's going on now, and we're exerting our will in defense of one another instead of, and in support of one another instead of being at odds with one another. There's still going to be people, though, that aren't going to feel that way, that are going to view this from a different perspective, and until they're going to have to figure it out on their own, I guess. If they can't, I don't know what to say. I just don't. You can't force somebody, right, to think differently than the way they do. You've got one televangelist who's apparently blowing the virus away. I don't know. Did he actually like blow out? What did he do? I didn't see it. I don't know. I don't know. So I think what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to move the 7 to the center. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it first, and I'm going to put the page in as the significator of the reading. So it's going to be talking. This then will have to do with the new message. So let's take a look at the page. We see clouds in the sky. We see some sketchy ground that he's. It almost looks fluid, doesn't it? Like the foundation is changing. The message is so strong. It almost looks like he's standing on something fluid. That's the weirdest looking ground I've ever seen, though, isn't it? It looks like it's in motion. You see the trees in motion. You see the wind blowing on the trees. Over here. I have to do everything backwards. I feel like a weather girl. Anyway, you see the birds above? Almost in a lemniscate fashion. You have, we're coming full circle, basically. You know, when we were doing this, it's in cycles. We come back and forth, back and forth. But you have to kind of look at it kind of askew, right? Because that's the way it looks up there. But the wind's blowing his hair forward in the direction of the future, and he's looking toward the past. So with an eye to the past, he's bringing a message to the future to probably, well, I don't know, clarify things that have been going on. So clarification. Let's start with the 7. Now we see that demarcation line between the guy who's running off with some swords there and the soldiers in the back. You can see some over here. The rest are all in the tents, though. They've come back from battle. They're getting ready to possibly, you know, whenever, to go and attack the town. And they left their swords sitting out, though. They left their strategy. They left their battle plan. They left their armaments. It's another thing about swords, about the air element. You can talk about reason and strategy. But here, if you look at this in terms of power, he doesn't have as much. He's not dressed in any kind of battle attire, so he has no power. He looks like maybe he might have infiltrated. And when their backs were looking, or when their backs were turned and they weren't looking, he ran out and he took their strategy. He took some of their power away, their influence away. I used to think of this card as the theft of intellectual property because I'm a writer. But in truth, I think that it's really about leveling the playing field when you don't have as much power or control or influence. Obviously, the king's men are people that are going to have armaments that the town doesn't have. They're going to have the component of fear on their side, and they're going to terrify people. And the people are going to either be hurt or they're going to succumb or something in some way to the authority of the king. Well, the town isn't happy about that, and they know that the only way that they can win and perhaps survive this moment is if they take some of the strategy away and know the plans of what this person's trying to do to them. The problem is when you start, in other words, say for example, this drug that he's hawking, what if he's got money on it? Because there's reports out now, information, swords, that is suggesting that he's got money in on it. He's got investments. So of course he wants you to take it. That means he makes more money, right? Should that make you angry? Yeah. Should it make you want to do this? Oh yeah, definitely. The other thing about swords is cause and effect. And when you realize that you've been lied to and scammed, and that in doing so, maybe a loved one has died, when you realize that this is all about somebody making a buck, you've got senators, you've got Congress people that are selling stocks and buying those having to do with the pandemic. You've got PPE supplies being taken off of tarmacs, apparently, confiscated. They're supposed to have been purchased by other countries, other states, other whatever. And the federal government is just, they just take them. So when they don't arrive, you see what I'm saying? We have someone who is in control, who's not, and all of this nonsense that shouldn't be nonsense. It should all be in service to taking care of the American people, and whatever we got left, whatever we don't need, we can move somewhere else to anyone who does. But we have to take care of the country first. If we don't know that supplies are going to be available and we can go ahead and shift this over to something else, because we're not out yet, but we know we're going to get them in time, that's one thing. But to do anything else is criminal. So I suggest to you with the page is that we're becoming aware of the true nature of what's going on now and what's at the heart of it. Why aren't the first responders protected? Why aren't the ventilators going where they need to go? What's going on here? Why wouldn't the President of the United States move heaven and earth to make sure we're all safe? Why would he do the complete opposite? And since I'm in a vulnerable category, I want an answer to that. You see? This is why I'm upset. And I think it's going to turn out that it really doesn't make any difference if you're in a vulnerable category or not. Things are going to turn out the way they turn out with this. And until we know more, we should be moving heaven and earth to protect everyone, especially our first responders. We have to give the nurses and the doctors and the hospital staff, all of them, the firemen, the police, all of those people, the grocery store clerks. We need to protect them. They're out there taking care of us, making sure we have what we need, taking care of us if we get sick. Why don't we want to take care of them? Why don't we want to make certain that our places have everything they need? What is he doing and why? Why is he removing every ounce of protection we have? Well, we're starting to learn he's got money in on it. That's what the reports are saying. He's got investments in and into a drug that doesn't work for this, apparently. What's going on? And the problem is if you think of it from the nefarious side of things, suddenly things become clear. So in that point, you have to level the playing field. That's why you have governors that are getting together and figuring this out. Figure out how are we going to get these supplies, and so that the president doesn't go and order them taken from us, so he can then sell them to someone else. This is a pandemic. People are dying. And we have a guy who won't do the right thing. He does all the wrong things. So if we don't start waking up, if we don't start paying attention to the message that's being given, if we don't change our strategy here and understand that we have to go forward in shared purpose and together and in unity so that people survive. For mercy's sake, stay away from me. I don't want to know you. I really don't. Because you're not about a positive outcome. Well, eventually I'm going to get one rune in my hand. I let them fall through my hand in the bag. And whenever I get the last one, that's the rune for today. So it's Isa, the 11th rune of the Elder Futhark, one of the 3 Norn runes. This one's about the static realm or the present moment. Isa freezes things into place. If you have a fever, you can draw it on your head. Perhaps that will help. Chant Isa. But basically, it's the cosmic ice egg. And it's stasis. Maybe we'll see a flattening today. It could indicate that. It's 11th rune. You're talking 11 energy, so that's a master number for illumination and awakening. It could simply be that we're coming to alignment as to what's really going on here. Maybe predicated upon some another message. If you start to look beneath the surface of the words that come out of his mouth, you will see that it's self-dealing and it's repetitive. And so they may just be sentences and phrases that he can remember, and those are the things he says. As to how intact he is, we don't know. Dementia's in his family. Every doctor online is talking about it, that he has dementia. The duty to warn folks, other people that are familiar with dementia, that have gone through it with family members, seen it up close firsthand. They're recognizing certain mannerisms, certain behaviors, certain repetitive comments. Just the fact that it's repetitive alone is enough right there. But we're being guided by a group of people, because it isn't him, that are using someone who may have dementia in order to further their own, agenda. And if that's really what's going on here, if that's why he acts the way he does, if that's why he talks the way he does, if what the doctors are suggesting is actually true, and this is a sign of dementia, good Lord, people. Can we not remove him for his own safety, for his own health concerns? Because they didn't remove him, and they knew. This has been going on since this whole persona has been going on since the campaign. And if it's reflective of that, then they knew. The more journalists sit there and don't push the envelope here, the more of a disservice they do to the country and to the world. We have to know. Look into this, figure it out. Is that what we're seeing? Is that why he can't act in the way a normal president would act to protect people in this country? Do you honestly think President Obama would have done this? Or even President Bush? As incompetent as he was, do you honestly think he would have done this? Oh, no, I don't. I don't think that at all. As incompetent as that guy was, he would have never gone this far. His wife wouldn't have permitted it. But this wife, please, she doesn't care. She just cares that she's got money. She doesn't care about anything else. Oh, I guess she cares about people taking advantage of her family's good name. Oh, please, come on. Enough's enough. This is a pandemic, people. Get with the program so we can shut this whole thing down. But if we can't go forward together, we're going to be fighting it. And we don't need to, maybe. Maybe we get on top of it, we get ahead of it. It peters out for a while and it comes back like they always do. But maybe next time go around, we're a little more prepared for it if we don't have therapeutics yet, which I can't believe we won't, but I would think we would by that time. Not going to have a vaccine, though. So there's going to be more of this. We've got to get accustomed to it. We've got to get used to it. We've got to figure out how to deal with this and still keep the world open, if it's even possible to do that. It may not be. So the point is we don't know what we don't know yet. And so we have to figure all of that out. And it's going to take time. And it's going to take experience. It's going to take hindsight. You know? But what it's not going to take is telling people to take a drug that has no benefit, that appears anyway to not have any benefit, that is a very dangerous drug to be using to begin with, and anyone who has to use it, I feel for you. My doctors never would prescribe that for me when my RA was active. So I don't know what it's like to take Plaquenil. But I know people who did, and it wasn't a fun experience, but it was all they could do, apparently. So I just think that right now we need to do what's best for one another. And that's to come together in alignment. It's another aspect of ISA. Come together in alignment, in single-minded purpose to get through this time. If we do that, we'll get through it and we'll know more, which is what we need to do. Let's close with a geomancy rune here if I don't throw them all away. It's down in the darkness, so I can't see it. Well, I've got a single one for, single dot for fire, single for air. I have Pure. I was going to say Puella, but it's Pure. We've had that quite a bit. Pure and Puella are kind of unstable, youthful energies. They're each other's complements. We're talking little boy energy, little girl energy. But with Pure is little boy energy, and I raised 2 boys, so I know about this. If passive energy on the water line. This goes in the line of in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. And I'll show you. This was fire, was a single dot. On the other side, you have the dual dots, but you code them. I code mine. You don't have to do it this way. You could throw down a bunch of beans or rocks or something, little pebbles or peas or lentils or whatever you've got. But then you have to count them, and if you get an odd number, then that's a single dot. If it's an even number, it's a dual dot. So I just did runes. To me, it just made more sense. But you can really do geomancy with anything and anywhere. So if you didn't have your little runes with you, then you could just pick up whatever's on the ground and throw it down and count it, and create your do it 4 times, and you've got the beginnings of a shield chart. From that, you just do it 4 times, and then from that, the entire chart is done. Here's an example of one. This is this month's. This is what it looks like. Ultimately, you create the first 4, and then you create the rest from them, and then you take these 2 and create this one. These 2 create this one. These 2, this one. These 2, this one. And then these 2, this one, and then these 2 would create that one. They combine together, and if you add them together and it's an even number, then it's 2 dots, and if it's an odd number, it's 1. So 3 dots would signify if there's 2 in one and 1 in the other, then you've got 3. So that's a single dot for your next rune. It's just combining. It's all it is, and it's just an easy way to divine some earth energies. And for today, they're just unstable. In other words, I think that it aligns well with whatever feeling that things are loosening. That's another thing about unstable energy. It's not so fixed. So changes can happen, right? You can be flexible. You can look at it as maybe some over flexibility if you think a little boy, because they're here, there, and everywhere, right? It's like focus. Well, I can't because I'm too interested in everything going on, right? That's the other side of this. And so you can take that energy and look at it in terms of the new message. And you're not so tied to the old that you can't embrace something new. And so here you end up with the strategy, right, to level that playing field, to remove some of the effect of the people in charge to hurt you, basically, because that's what's happening in our everyday life right now. The people in charge, what they're doing is harming everyone. All right? They're harming people by their actions or their inaction. However you want to look at this. They knew about this in November. Yeah, figure that one out. They knew about this in November. Some say October, because there were some people that came back from some deal that they got it, right? They got sick. They were receiving information about this back in November. Yeah. New message. Get angry. Do something about it. Don't just sit there in anger. You've been conned. In other words, you've been conned. So now it's time to get serious and get focused. Use the Scorpio focus to know when something is happening to you. And now you're going to go, little Miss Scorpio, little Mr. Scorpio, and you're going to strategize. And when they're not looking, you're going to level the playing field. In other words, if you haven't believed what the truth is, now you're going to start to believe it. And you're going to understand how far behind the curve we are here on this. And the delays have cost us plenty and are going to continue to cost us plenty. So we're going to get a different strategy now, and we're not going to listen to the nut job that can't seem to string 3 words together effectively, that even mean anything. So then we come together in swift action, don't we? In shared purpose, collectively, to beat whatever this enemy is. We align together in unified purpose and unified awareness. The collective consciousness coming together and saying, no, you're not going to kill us. You're not going to put us in harm's way. Oh, no, you're not. We see you now. We see the truth now, and we're going to come together, and we're going to band together, and we're going to protect one another against you. Yeah, that's what it is now. That's where we are now. And all are welcome. All are necessary. We need everyone to do this going forward, to band together in shared purpose, to defeat this. And we can. Of course we can. Not gonna, though, if you're not going to come back together with everyone. I think that the eventual result of chaos, the eventual result of deception, the eventual result of someone trying to disrupt to the point that nobody knows what to believe, nobody knows who to trust, you can't go to your family, you can't go to your friends, no one recognizes anybody anymore. Look, That was done by one guy and whoever his handlers are. It was done by one guy, going out day after day after day after day in these repetitious mind control rallies, because that's what they are. When you listen to the sing-song cadence, it's hypnotic. And when he speaks to the isms that you might feel, suddenly you feel emboldened to express them yourself. And so now we have word that this was a few days ago, but a family, I think a family or two guys and their kids, but I think they might have been related. I'm not sure who they all were, but children were involved. They were attacked. They're Asian. They were attacked by somebody, I think it was in Texas, a guy who thought that they were spreading the virus. This is what this man's done. He's ignited a level of racism that perhaps was under the surface for many, but never would have found its true purchase until they were given permission. And that's what's happened. They were given permission to hate. They were given permission to not see the sense of things. Everything is fake. Everything is a lie. Everything is anti this person. Everything is a hater. Well, no. People are looking at him with clear sight. That's all. And some aren't. But now there's no time for that. There's no place for that now. Now we have a bigger enemy to deal with, one that we have to deal with collectively. And if we just turn our backs to him, don't watch the press conferences, because they're just mini rallies. That's all they are. Technically illegal. Can't do that. Can't campaign from the Oval Office. Can't do that. Taxpayers can't pay for that. See, it's illegal. But he doesn't care. They all think they can do as they please. But they can't, and they've never been able to. That's why he got impeached. He broke the law. He broke the rules. That's why Mr. Mueller said what he did at his deal. Oh, sure, I can indict him after he leaves. Sure. I'll convict him too. Oh, sure. Lots of things he's done. They're just waiting. Why delay it? Why delay it? Look, we have to get through this together. Together. So if you have issues with other people, drop them. Check in on them. Just say, hey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. I just want to be there for you. I just want you to know that I care about you, and that I don't know what happened, but I'm sorry and I'm here. You need anything, call me. You want to just visit? Let's do that. Whatever. But let's all come back together now. And whatever differences, they're only perceived. They're not even real. So our true strength is in one another. It really is. So let's just be there for each other now through all of this, and we're going to get out of it a lot sooner if we hunker down and we stay safe and protected and wear our masks out in the public, and it's going to be fashionable. It's going to be fun. We saw one online that it was a mask that makes you look like you got a dog nose. It's adorable. Anyway, we're probably going to see things like that. People are coming out in neighborhoods. I saw one guy doing his exercising in a Spider-Man costume, so that the kids were at the window watching. Little things just to get us through. We'll do it together though. So in any event, I won't see you again. Is this Thursday? Yes, this is Thursday. So I won't see you again except on the checking in videos. Unless I decide to do one of these, I might. You never know. It's going to be 71 today though, and I have to get outside. I've been planting things I planted yesterday. My seeds, I'm getting seeds started. I'm going to be doing other things planting wise, getting the the garden spaces ready. I was doing some of that as well, and so I don't know. We'll see. I might though, but I'll at least check in on the checking in videos. I'll do those. Whether or not I do any reading, I don't know. But in any event, stay safe, stay protected, stay connected with others safely, and come back again Monday, and we'll look at the cards and the astrology and the runes all over again. So thank you so much for watching. Click subscribe if you haven't done that. Go over to the blog over at imsteppingaside.com. It's called Stepping Aside. All of this gets posted over there. The correspondences are going to go up soon. While I watch this, I'll do them. And so if you're working magic, check in with that, and you'll see the current astrology and the magical correspondences for the day. So in any event, we'll check in again on Monday. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.